Welcome to Wrestling News Network. My name is Eric. Thank you very much for joining us on this inaugural episode. We're going to talk with the Royal Rumble. Joining me is WWE YouTuber. You guys can follow him at youtube.com/WeCaptureTheFrag. TonyPizzaGuy.com with over 190,000 subs in his network with almost 80+ million views. Tony Pizza Guy. Tony, thanks for joining me on the show today.
Thanks for having me on.
So we had the Royal Rumble last night, and that's what we're going to go ahead and discuss here today. Can I get your first thoughts for the fans that were watching? What was your first impression of the Royal Rumble last night?
I think that overall, John Cena and AJ Styles stole the show. It was the best match of the night. It was just an amazing match. Like, you can't top that. Like, I don't know. That's just what's on my mind out of that is that match right there.
That match. So right now, when everybody else right now is so focused on the Royal Rumble itself, which we are going to dive into, and we're going to break down the Royal Rumble, the match itself that sticks out to you is John Cena versus AJ Styles. So my question to you is, what made that a good match for you? Why did you like that match? And did you see it, or did you want it to go down a different way?
I would have liked... if somehow they could have had AJ Styles retain, I think that AJ Styles going into Mania as champion would have been perfect for me. But I do see where if they want to flip it and have John Cena be the marquee name going into WrestleMania, because John Cena, he's bigger than the WWE. You know that? He's bigger than the WWE, and he needs to keep that title to he's got that star power that maybe AJ Styles doesn't have. So giving him the title, I understand it, but I would have rather had AJ Styles keep it.
So, Tony, let me ask you, though, that question that you just said, because you had just pointed out in your words that John Cena is bigger than the WWE. Does he need the title then? Could this be a transitional route? Because as we've reported in the writer's room through my network, we have said all along, going back to September, which you guys can see that tweet that we posted back in September, that essentially AJ Styles would be holding the title until King Cena returns. Now, you had mentioned two different plots possibly, and what our team had saw was that John Cena would in fact come back, and the reason that he would come back was because were you a fan of the SummerSlam match between John Cena and AJ Styles? Did you
of
like
course,
that match?
Of course, so I think those two mesh very well together. I think they're just like peanut butter and jelly. Anytime you get them in the ring, they're going to have magic.
Okay, so they had absolute magic, but when they competed, essentially, that was right when the club was falling apart. They were banned. It was AJ Styles versus John Cena, and Styles laid it down. He became the champ that runs the camp, but essentially the fan favorite. After the brand split, you had him paired up with guys like James Ellsworth, Dean Ambrose. It seems like everything that made AJ Styles in that match against John Cena at SummerSlam, it was kind of taken away from him. He was booked like crap, and Cena would come back to ultimately steal it away. So my question to you is, if you can see both sides of this, is it smart for WWE to give Cena the 16th time? And what is your argument right now? As you said, you thought AJ would have been the champion. How do you defend his bad booking then? If somebody is watching this and going, John Cena is just the guy that comes back, what has AJ done to be the guy to beat John Cena in the past couple months? Can you give me any example whatsoever of why AJ Styles would have been able to beat Cena last night? Because Cena, it seems like, was playing the instigator. Always. He was playing this instigator, getting under AJ's skin, and it worked. Does he get a fair rematch? And based on what happened last night, is AJ done? Is AJ just gone for it? Did Cena bury AJ Styles, Tony?
I don't think that AJ is buried at all. I think what's going to happen out of this is that AJ Styles is not going to get his fair rematch. I don't think there's going to be another one-on-one contest, AJ John Cena. Even up to WrestleMania, I don't see that happening. I don't think him having a fair rematch, and that's just going to fuel AJ Styles. He's angry at what's happening because he has been around. He has been here in his mind, has stuck around. He has put in the work. He is the workhorse, and then John Cena, who in rightful mind comes back and gets a main event and gets the title. I mean, John Cena saying, I get it because I'm John Cena. And AJ Styles is like, no, you're not here. You're not working your ass off. It's typically, they're kind of re-emulating the CM Punk, The Rock type storyline there, where it's like, you're in Hollywood. I've been here kicking ass and taking names and holding it down, but then it just gets taken away. It's another version of The Rock CM Punk, where The Rock comes in, takes the title, goes to Mania. That's what we're seeing here.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because that's the point that our team in the writers' room had made, that for AJ Styles in the past couple of months, like you said, he was going up against guys like James Ellsworth, who everybody wondered, why the hell is Ellsworth facing AJ Styles? AJ got him the job. He brought him in. But it seems like AJ has been set up for failure from day one. Last year at WrestleMania, if you note, our viewers were very upset that Chris Jericho, in fact, did beat AJ Styles. Nobody could understand it. This year, like you said, we are less than 2 months away. AJ finally got everything he wanted in the WWE, but ultimately, John Cena, the guy that went away for American Grit, came back just like he did. And let's go back when AJ Styles wasn't even in the WWE with Alberto Del Rio. When Cena was gone with injury, he came back and ultimately beat Alberto Del Rio for that title, although Randy became the first champion. So is this a case where you're bringing back in a part-timer, like you just said, but Triple H is the one pulling the strings? Because if you think about it, exactly what you just said, you flip the roles now. Now, who is facing, like Randy Orton? You already have John Cena. You're combining the titles. Randy's the guy that's eventually going over. In this case, John Cena comes back as the part-timer, exactly like he did against Alberto Del Rio. And now he's going to face, on paper, until Elimination Chamber happens, it is John Cena versus Randy Orton right now at the pay-per-view, unless something else happens. So, as the part-timer, does this lead to AJ Styles, like you said, as a heel turn? Because the writers, what we were reporting, what we were going to say was this would fuel AJ Styles, that a 16-time John Cena, who came back, didn't take it seriously, could win. And the reason that was possible was because neither was AJ Styles. Well, John was off in Hollywood and getting the credit for being in Hollywood. AJ was too. He was facing guys like James Ellsworth, Dean Ambrose. He wasn't taking it seriously. So how does he get under his skin now? Is he going to beat him down? Do we have a club? Where do you see it going, Tony? Because you brought up excellent points, that it seems like that's where it's headed.
Right. I think that AJ Styles is going to be more angry at the higher powers, the people in charge, because it's them that are not going to be able to give him that fair rematch. I think that his rematch will be part of the Elimination Chamber. It's going to come down to like Shane and Daniel Bryan saying, well, that is your rematch in that chamber. And then that's just going to fuel AJ even more to where he's not getting a fair, like everybody is overlooking him. Like he has been around forever in his mind, working his ass off on the indies, whatever, all across the world. That is making him the star. But John Cena's mind, he wasn't in the WWE, so it doesn't matter. If you know what, John Cena is John Cena. WrestleMania is a different ballgame, so putting John Cena in there and then just making AJ Styles angry.
What you're telling me right now is that John Cena is discounting completely New Japan Pro Wrestling, Ring of Honor, Impact Wrestling, that John Cena does not believe any of those guys really matter. And the simple fact is that AJ can have this huge career, but when it matters, big match John is there. Now, would this have happened, though, like you said, you had said the authority, not the authority, excuse me, that the GM, who in this case would be Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon, would essentially not give him a fair rematch. It almost seems to me, Tony, that the authority is taking the heat. The authority is controlling this in a way, because Foley took the heat last night for the. We'll talk about this in a second. Stephanie specifically said it was Mick's fault for the cage, that it did not work out. It got a huge reaction, and in this case, exactly like what you're speculating, from what it sounds to me, is you are saying that John Cena was given the match. But it wasn't by the authority. It wasn't by the bad guys. It was against the fan favorites, the guys like Daniel Bryan. Daniel gave Cena the match. Daniel, like when he was taunting The Miz, is kind of an instigator. Is Daniel Bryan being set up to fail by the authority? Is the good guys on the show, from what you're telling me, it sounds like this is what I'm getting from what you're saying. I don't know if this is what you're trying to take. So you have to tell me, is AJ's being held down by the man? And ultimately, who's the man, though? Who's holding him down? Because if you're saying this, is it Daniel not giving him a fair shot? Is Daniel jealous that AJ was a huge star in New Japan, the fact that AJ's still wrestling, Tony? Who is trying to hold him down? Who is not giving him the fair match?
I think that it's just Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon. I feel like what it is that you're having this sort of like disagreement, right? So you have like SmackDown constantly just keeping AJ Styles down, and that's how he feels. I feel like Shane McMahon is saying, well, this is your rematch. It's not that they're holding him down, but they're saying this is your chance in this chamber. And if you don't like it, that's too bad. That's just the way that they run things over on SmackDown. So I feel like, and SmackDown's always just shown as like this inferior show to the grand scheme of things. So I think it's more like Shane McMahon's holding him down, but it just comes to like, it's like a hierarchy, right? So you have them holding SmackDown down, SmackDown holding them down, and then that's just how I see it.
So as a show right now, what you're saying is there's still that inferiority complex. There's still this level that, although SmackDown is the land of opportunity, that land of opportunity, from what it sounds like, is there is a land of opportunity, but it's a convoluted opportunity, because Styles was given this match against Cena, which may not have been fair. Cena toiled him into it. Cena convinced Styles to give it to him. But
hold on, let me just take this away from you right quick. How did John Cena get this match in the first place? He came out and said, "I'm going to fight for the championship because I'm John Cena," and they let that happen.
So who let it happen? Is it
Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon let it happen? They said John Cena comes out and says, "I'm fighting whoever is the champion at the Royal Rumble," and then they allowed it. They let it happen.
That's it. So I mean, on paper, I mean, is this him trying to pay him back? Is Bryan giving Cena the match? Because if you remember back, it was Bryan that beat Cena. Beating Cena essentially changed Daniel Bryan's career, so to speak. Maybe he's paying an old favor here. Maybe he's giving it to Cena, or maybe Cena is that guy. Does Cena deserve to do this? Does Cena deserve, Tony, to come back and get an opportunity whenever he wants?
Definitely. He is. Let's look at the pressures that Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon are under from the Authority. Remember, like, Triple H never really liked Daniel Bryan. And you could tell that by, the Daniel Bryan story. But now there's a lot of pressure on Daniel Bryan to produce a great SmackDown. With the Authority and the higher power, Daniel Bryan needs to produce a great SmackDown. They need to beat Raw in the ratings. Think about this. When did they beat Raw in the ratings? When John Cena came back. There's a lot of pressure to beat Raw in the ratings with Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon. And when they put John Cena in there, you know what? They win the ratings. That's why John Cena is champion on SmackDown.
So John Cena 100% is SmackDown because he draws ratings. Speaking of ratings, Tony, what would you give it? Let's just say, for those people that maybe they follow somebody that gives a star system. Maybe they follow other reviewers that do things like this. What would you rate it? What would be? Does it lose any points for the fact that it was here in the U.S. and not in New Japan?
No, definitely not. I still think this was as good a match as John Cena and AJ Styles could put on. As far as like star ratings, I'm not too big into star ratings. I wouldn't say this was like a perfect match, but I wouldn't say it was like, it's got to be as close to like a 4.75, something like that. I think it was great. I think that, they could have changed maybe the outcome. I don't know, but maybe that's what made it what it was. So I don't think that really there was like, this is as good as AJ and John Cena could do. I mean, maybe at WrestleMania they could top it, but this is as good as they're going to do.
They could do, or is this as good as John Cena could do? Because if you know, AJ Styles has been in some approved 5-star matches, and those matches occurred in New Japan. And we've seen legends throw this out already, that they have said, in fact, last night, it was John Cena and AJ Styles who, in fact, put on a better match than Okada did at Wrestle Kingdom 11. So, in your mind, was this match better than what New Japan just put on with Okada at Wrestle Kingdom 11?
I think you have to look at it two different types of matches, because
no, I'm not asking that, Tony. I'm not asking about two different types. I'm asking you, in a blunt opinion, which was the better match? Is it AJ Styles and John Cena? Can you give John Cena the credit that he deserves? Because I've long said this. It's not just AJ Styles who are having these near-perfect matches. Cena's involved. Will you say a Cena-approved match, a Cena match? I mean, this is the guy, like you said, who came back. Will you give that honor to Cena, or do you still hold this bias to New Japan and guys like Okada? What is the reasoning to not? Can you definitively say that John Cena put on the better match? Will you give John Cena the credit that he deserves?
I definitely agree that John Cena gets a lot of flack for not being able to hold his own.
It sounds like you're trying to go around. It sounds like you're trying to beat around the bush. And you're
no. I'm gonna agree with you that John Cena is great, and John Cena, every time he's in the ring, he's got polarizing matches. Some of the best stories that there's been. Not always 5-star matches, but I will say, in my mind, I like this match better than the Okada Omega match. And the reason being is because there was just like, I followed these guys' careers more than I followed Okada and Omega. And I know the story of AJ Styles. I know the story of John Cena. And I could just feel like the story that is there for me. The connection is there, where the Okada Omega match, yeah, it was great watching it. But like the story for me, the connection wasn't there because I hadn't followed that story long enough. Where John Cena and AJ Styles, I followed it. I've connected with both of them. I've seen their, like, most of their whole career. So I know what the story is here. So I have to say that the John Cena AJ Styles match was better in my mind.
So essentially, and this is why I'm glad you brought this up, is you're saying that because of the fact that you have followed along more with AJ Styles, like versus, let's say you're a legend in the wrestling business and you just happen to tune into a match. Let's just, for just sake here, let's say Vader just tunes in and sees a Will Ospreay match. Now, Vader has no idea what led into that. Maybe he's even said on record that he hasn't watched the match and he's judging it from that. Tony, it makes it sound like you're basically saying fans shouldn't just judge the match by it and the fact that the story is actually important, and the story could be more important than the match itself. Even if the match is 5-star, you're liking the Cena and AJ Styles feud, the match essentially, because of the story, because of the writing. Who do you give credit to that for? Is it the WWE team? Is it Cena? Is it the culmination?
I think it's got to go to the credit to everybody. I think with John Cena, AJ Styles, and just everybody involved in the whole process of making this work. I mean, again, this could have just been another like throwaway match. Like, oh, John Cena, AJ, let's just make it happen. We'll just put it on paper. It sounds good. But they had a clear story that they wanted to go with here. And I agree with you when you were saying that the story does matter here, because out of context, like if you just watch a match for a match, yeah, there could be great matches. But if you look back to like the Shawn Michaels Undertaker match, like as probably one of the greatest matches of all time, just those stories that went into that was what sold that for me, was Shawn Michaels Undertaker stories. And then like that's what sold it for me, because you've seen these guys' careers, you've seen them over and over and over, and it's just like the storytelling is what makes it. I think story is more important than wrestling.
Okay, so in this case then, would you definitively say, based on storytelling, because fans are always looking for this reason to say John Cena came back and John Cena just won the title. Like I said, our team at the Writers' Room has been reporting this whole year that this was going to lead to Cena coming back and winning the title. Now, whether Cena loses at Elimination Chamber, we're not willing to speculate that just yet. But based on what has happened, it makes sense for him to come back, because when AJ beat him before, he was very serious. He was taking this seriously. He knew what he was getting in for. But then when Big Match John goes away, it inflates his ego. He's a big deal. Why is AJ Styles, the former leader of New Japan Pro Wrestling, the head locker room, the guy that put on 5-star matches, the guy that changed the world, that eventually left Impact to get signed by WWE thanks to a year in New Japan? Tony, what do you tell those people that just see AJ losing last night, and does the story outweigh that? Can a logical fan for Styles, can you take any glory away from him losing to Cena last night? Because Hollywood Cena's the story right now. It's what it seems like. Cena's the guy, 16-time champion, does everything. What do you tell an AJ Styles fan right now that can only see blood on John Cena?
I think you just got to wait. You have to wait to see where the cards fall. I think a lot of people jump to conclusions and say, oh, yeah, John Cena buried him. LOL, Cena wins. That's the meme out there. But I think you just need to wait and see where the cards fall, because this is not the end of AJ Styles. They wouldn't have brought AJ Styles in to lose to John Cena just for AJ Styles to get buried. It doesn't make any sense. Business sense, it's dumb for them to do that.
I would agree with that. So John Cena winning last night at the Royal Rumble. I really want to appreciate, Tony, you coming on to talk about AJ Styles. I know we're eventually going to talk about the Royal Rumble, but again, joining, this is Tony Pizza Guy. You guys can follow him. We capture the frag, TonyPizzaGuy.com. I know he's working on a couple big projects. You want to follow him. You can check him out on social media, Tony Pizza Guy. Tony, any projects you're working on right now that the viewers that are listening might tune into? Do you have anything going on right now that you'd like to throw out there?
Currently, all I want to say is just follow me on social media. Just stay tuned, and Twitter's the best way to get in touch.
Twitter's the best way to get in touch. Thanks again, AJ Styles. You gave it a 4.75. I'm going to give it the perfect match. I'm going to say John Cena and AJ Styles last night culminated in the perfect way. And if you're an AJ Styles fan, like Tony said, just stay patient. Something big's coming.